I am Evan Engwall, and I'm the Math Center teacher at Central Elementary. And you know, thank you, you're awesome too. You know, for 15 years, I've sat out there and wondered, what does it look like when you stand up here on stage? And now, finally, at my 16th convocation, I can say, it looks great. You look beautiful out there. You know what? You look so good. I'm going to go off script here a little bit. Don't worry, Tiara, it'll only take a second. At Central this summer, we've had a selfie challenge, and we've been kind of posting all these pictures of ourselves. So I need your help right now. Just 1 second. I'm going to own the selfie challenge this year. All right, everyone say cheese. All right, thank you. Enough of that. I'm so honored to be here today, to be part of this great day of telling you my story of my journey into teaching. And I'm so proud to be part of this wonderful us we have here in Duncanville. I know there are a lot of great stories out there about people's own personal journeys into teaching, and I hope that you can find some inspiration in my story. That blonde kid there, since we're talking about kids and sports uniforms today, that would be me. I am wearing the uniform of Universitario de Deportes. That was my favorite team growing up in Lima, Peru. Yes, my parents were Lutheran missionaries, and I lived in Lima for 7 years. Now, obviously, that's kind of a different childhood than most people, but it was wonderful. I grew up as a third culture kid. It's a term researchers use for people who grow up in places that are different and speak different languages than they do at home with their own family. And third culture kids, there's some benefits to being one. For example, we tend to be very appreciative of cultural and linguistic diversity, and we're very adaptable people. But there are also some drawbacks to being a third culture kid. Namely, that many of us have this feeling of we don't really know where we belong. You know, we search for that place of belonging, we don't quite fit in. And that's how I felt for a long time until I became a teacher here in Duncanville. Thank you. I'm fortunate because I came from a family in which education was seen as an important profession. Teachers were honored people in my family. My grandfather was a school principal, and he met and fell for a first grade teacher, and that would be my grandmother. Now, I'm not sure how that would be looked upon today, but you know, fortunately for me, here I am standing literally on this stage because over a century ago they met at an elementary school. And you know, despite all of that, I never thought I would be a teacher growing up. You know, I was going to be a professional soccer player, clearly, except then I discovered you had to run a lot, and so then that was the end of that. I really liked school, and, you know, but teaching was just not something I wanted to do. You know, but like many of you, my story took some twists and turns before I got here, a few detours. I didn't go right away into elementary education and college and come out and teach. Instead, I thought, I'm going to go and do the ultimate dream job. I became an archaeologist. No, really, I was an archaeologist. I went to graduate school. I went on digs in the United States and South America and the tropical forests. I studied and wrote about ancient peoples. But eventually, you know, the romance of archaeology kind of wore off, and I was yearning for something more, a connection to something bigger. And so at the ripe old age of 39, I quit my job, and I decided to become an elementary school teacher. Crazy, right? I know. I'd always liked working with kids, but really, I knew next to nothing about what it took to become a teacher. But somehow I got into Region 10's alternative certification program, and even more amazingly, I was hired to teach bilingual 4th grade at Central Elementary. Central. Woo! Cheap applause, I know. And that was only a couple weeks before the start of school. I was so unprepared for that first year of teaching. I didn't know the first thing about it. But fortunately, I had fabulous teammates. They supported me. They lightened my load. They encouraged me. I wouldn't have made it through that first year without them. So you new teachers out there, if you ever find yourself needing help, which is going to be pretty much all the time, lean on your teammates. Lean on anyone you can at your school. And also don't forget to take a moment and enjoy the ride, because it's a beautiful thing. That first year of teaching, well, that's a long way in the past now. So what keeps me going? Why am I still here in Duncanville teaching all these years later? Well, I'm sure my reasons are much like your own. I have this sense of belonging here, but a few other reasons too. I teach for my fantastic colleagues at my school whose kindness and creativity and hard work inspire me every day. And I teach for my administrators. They challenge me and they appreciate my efforts. And I teach for the single mom who's just getting by, yet she still gets her kids to school every day. And I teach for the parents who left everything they knew behind to come here and build a better life for their family. And I teach for the grandparents who thought they were all done raising kids. I teach for that kid who asked me if I'll be his dad, even though clearly we probably won't look anything alike. I teach for the kid who used to cry about math and now comes smiling into my room. I teach for the kid who asked me those questions I don't know the answer to, right? I teach for the kid who brightens my day even in the darkest of times. I teach for the kid who's probably going to be president one day. We've all had those kids, right? I teach for the kid who has supervised visits with her parents. I teach for the kid who walked into our school this past week at Meet the Teacher Night, looked around and said, "I love this school." She did. It made my day. And I teach for the kid who's always hated school, because I know now that he's here with us, he'll change his mind. I teach because it's who I am. It's deep in my bones. And I teach because I believe all of us can build a better, more just world. We look around today and we see the world changing, oftentimes in ways we kind of shake our heads and go, in my day, right, our students seem to change every year now. Like, what's going on with that, right? And so our schools, too, have to change. We have to find new ways to engage our students, new ways to get them to learn, new ways to motivate them, new ways to help them and prepare them for the future. So many changes, right? So much to do. But some things will not change. That is the difference we can make in our students' lives, the relationships we can build with their families, the joy of learning, and that sweet feeling of success. As teachers, and really all of us here in the Duncanville schools. We can and we will shape the future. And it's a future one day our students will inherit from us. Thank you all very much.